to look into how Scip can help its industry and our members avoid R1, the R1 land crisis that we see ourselves in at the moment, how it will affect the building industry and the general economics of salmon arm itself. So we were hoping to have a discussion with you on what short-term goals there are to try to get some R1 lots in place so that the building industry can carry on in a reasonable manner and build affordable, so that we can, build our town in a manner that everyone has a place to live, and anyone that would like to move here would have the option of doing so. I know this summer, personally, my building permits have went down from 25 a year. I think I've taken out 4 or 5 permits this year. Cannot find any reasonable lots. I'm talking personally now. Cannot find any reasonable price lots that I can look to build houses on. So I'm now out in Shuswap Lake Estates building some, and I'm in Sicamous building some, down the valley building some, and I just finished my last one in town, and I'm waiting for another project to come on stream, but it's R4, and it's not the type of building I like to do. Anyhow, my story. Back to the R1. How does council see the problem that we're seeing? I guess that's what we're trying to do today, is try to establish what can be done and what needs to be done.
Councillor Flynn. Well, it's interesting that you would bring this up at this point, because a number of us on council were talking probably just a week ago about the fact that there is a report, I think that's probably all our own. We're not sure how accurate the report is on how many supposed infill opportunities there are, and we've got all kinds of them. And what we felt when we had the discussion, and I think it's good that you brought this forward, and we need to figure out what the next step is that those opportunities, some of them are probably highly unrealistic, way too expensive, and really good opportunities for infill, and may never happen. So I'm not sure the inventory that we've been relying on is accurate, or as accurate as we would like it to be. And it is definitely a concern of ours that perhaps we need to be looking at the OCP, I think, in general, sooner rather than later, and looking at where opportunities are for R1 development. That's my feeling anyway, and I know a number of councillors share that based on our discussion. So all I could say is that we probably do need to be talking about when we're going to review the OCP and looking at where we find the opportunities for R1 construction. I know the report says there's something like, how many, was it 1,000 or something, Corey, the most recent report?
Yeah, using a very conservative estimate, I looked at development area A, and there's a number of assumptions that are built into that report, but I guess the most conservative assumption is netting out the inefficiencies of development into roads and parks and that sort of thing. The only existing zone properties that are zoned R1. Using a minimum lot size of 1,000 square meters, which is fairly large. It estimates that there's land available for up to 1,000 parcels of land. I think the other part of the report, and that's where the confusion has been, is that's land that's available for development. That's not land that is developed, and there's 1,000 lots sitting there right now. The report didn't go into, I guess, what I call the market conditions, meaning is there a willing seller and a willing buyer, and those type of details as well.
So when you say land available, that means there could be somebody with a piece of property that could have 10 lots on it based on the maximum lot size, or a minimum lot size, sorry. They could put 10 lots on it, but they might have no interest in ever subdividing that or doing anything with it. So really, it's not really that accurate. Is that correct?
Well, I think that the report is accurate in saying that there's land available. What you're commenting on is it's not being developed tomorrow, or in a year. Yeah. That's timing. I guess ultimately the market brings the lots to market in a sense.
But at the end of the day, half of those people may never want to change what their lot looks like, correct?
Yeah, that's a personal decision, right?
Okay.
And then further to that, I guess the other part of it is there was a previous report in 2004 that went into a lot more detail and looked at our 3 development areas, A being the one that was just Raven, B which is south of town, and then C out towards Raven. And those numbers out there, those are our, I guess, our second and third areas in terms of priority hierarchy, I guess, in terms of land availability. In Area B, that report estimated 1,400 single-family dwellings, 500 multi-family dwellings, and then in Area C as developing out towards Raven, from Apple Yard out to Raven, looking at about 340 lots as well. So in terms of land in our urban area, we do have land that's available. The next question, and as you're raising, is market in terms of actual lots that are available for development.
Thank you. And a lot of it may never come to market.
It may or may not, but I guess if you look probably historically in Salmon Arm here, there's been different areas that have developed, haven't developed, and there's a number of different criteria that go into those decisions for someone to move forward and develop single-family lots.
I found it interesting, Dave, you said you're building in Shop Lake Estates, and in Sycamoose, and I was under the impression that lot prices in Sycamoose had outpaced us by far for some time now.
Sycamoose is in the same dilemma as Salmon Arm. They have very few lots. I'm building for a private individual there that hired me. I don't know how much. Matter of fact, he's been on the land for years, so I don't know what his land is worth. I haven't really watched Sycamoose too much. I'd just as soon stay right here in Salmon Arm and then building. To answer or to address some of Kevin's concerns, he has very similar concerns as to the Scip members. The Scip members have been talking to me. I've been working on this for 3 or 4 months now, and actually been working on it for 3 or 4 years. But with Scip for the last 3 or 4 months, I have been knocking on doors for 3 years, and I have not been able to buy a parcel of land to put another, or to develop another subdivision. And I've knocked on a lot of doors, and there are some very happy, satisfied people in Salmon Arm living on the prime R1 zones, where the infrastructure is close by, very accessible, easy to do. In cases, they're in front of someone in behind that wouldn't mind subdividing, but because the road has to go through and the service has to go through their property, are left out. So it is something that needs to be looked at. Area B has lots of potential, but the same problem as Area B. In the past, council has let them chop it up into 1 acre, 2 acre parcels. The 20-acre parcels in behind them, you can't get infrastructure to them anyhow. When you go up 10th, you've got infrastructure going up to the hill where Cheetah's building in there, but the minute you go across the hill, you can't get any infrastructure to it. The big field there, I don't know what it's zoned, between 10th and 8th, but that's ALR, so like to get the infrastructure into that portion of the town is a major project, and many years down the road. What the industry is seeing is that we don't have years down the road when you can't buy a lot in Salmon Arm. I should rephrase that. You can buy a lot in Salmon Arm. There's 2 or 3 of them out there if you want to pay $150,000 for a lot. But you could buy them up in a day. One guy could buy them all up and they'd be all gone anyhow. So that doesn't really look very far into the future. I looked at, this is going back into my personal again, I went into Canoe thinking I would buy some of those lots in there that they put in. 90% of them are already sold. They're $130,000. I wanted to go into Canoe, build affordable housing, 1,000 square footers or something like that we can get housing for our younger ones to come into town with a job and be able to live someplace. But if you're going to start at a $130,000 lot, and the only reason they're a $130,000 lot is because the demand is there's nothing to fill the demand. So they can ask what they want for their lots.